Ambiguous vow. Someone commit himself to something, express in words, for example, I'm going to fast tomorrow. What does that mean? How you structure the wording of a person. We explain that when it's come to a matter of vow, you go by the language that people are using. Nidrim, halech achar leshon bnei adam. You go by the manner of which people expresses themselves. So if that's the case, how do you structure a statement that one made that it's still ambiguous? If someone said, I'm going to fast tomorrow, it means from now until tomorrow, this time. It means it starts tomorrow morning. If someone said, for example, wine is forbidden to me this week, does that mean from now until after Shabbat? Until Shabbat, we are commanded to do Kiddush and Havdalah. How do you circumscribe a vow? How you limit a vow that it was unstructured when it's come to present and future? So here we are, beginning of Perek Shemini, 8th chapter, Tractate Nedarim, page 60. Mishnah, konam yain shani toem hayom eino asur ela ad shetechshach. A person made a vow and he said, I forbid myself wine as the same as an offering, meaning konam. So it means all those option applies, has to be for that particular day. So he is prohibited from that wine until the sunset. The sunset, the Nimukei Yosef explained based on Gemarrah in Shabbat 35b, that it's until the time you see 3 stars, that's the boarding time. But if it's in the twilight time, Ben Hashmashot, we go by the Safek Deoraita Lechumra. When is the quandary with something that is a structure by biblical prohibition, you go stringent. So therefore, from that point, if he said the manner of Hayom, Hayom meaning a full day. So the Meiri explained, as well as Tosfot, that it means from that day until the following day at that time. It's called Me'et Le'et. You can't impose upon him Me'et Le'et, which means from that moment until the following day, that time. So you have to say that his intent until the day is completed. So again, as you see, you go by the manner of which people use the word Hayom, today. So Shabbat zo, if it was, for example, Tuesday. So he said Shabbat. So it means Asur bechol Shabbat. Shabbat meaning the week. He is prohibited from wine for the entire week. Veshabbat she'avra, which means the upcoming Shabbat we count with the previous week. So that's part of this week. So the Ran explained when the person used the term this week, it meant both days and Shabbat, or some hold les she'avar. But you have a discussion, a disputation between the Taz and the Shach, if it means with or without Shabbat itself. Shabbat meaning Shabbat itself. Chodesh Zeh, if a person is at the middle of the month and he said, this month I prohibited myself wine, Asur bechol HaChodesh, he is prohibited from wine for the entire month. וראש חודש להבא. Meaning the Ran explains that this upcoming Rosh Chodesh is count with the following month, so it's not part of the vows. The same applies Shana zo, wine that I'm tasting this year and is in the middle of the year. Asur bechol hashana, is prohibited in wine all the days that left. Verosh hashana le'atid lavo, which means the Rosh Hashanah in the future. So it's not part of the vow. Shavua ze, which means that it's this Shavua, it's 7 years of the cycle, which is the way that we commended in Leviticus 25 is 6 years you walk in a field, and then the sabbatical year we have to leave the field away in Eretz Israel. So if someone used that term, which is Shavua ze, Asur bechol hashavua, he is prohibited with wine for the entire week, ushvi'it she'avra, and the sabbatical year that you count with the previous one. Ve'im amar yom echad, Shabbat achat, Chodesh echad, Shana achat, Shavua echad. If someone said 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, so asur miyom leyom. So he is prohibited from drinking wine from the day and time that he took the vow to the same time the next day or the next week. So, and the rest, it's good morning, for the following week. So, even he accept upon himself Shavua, a week, so that you treated 6 plus some of the day or not. So here we have a discussion of that. For example, if it's at the 8th day of the month, so you are scheduling now the structure of a month, so it's from the 8th day to the 8th day of the following month. That's the Rosh said. But if you go by the language of Nedarim, so for example, if someone said the word Shavua, so it means what? 6 days, and Miktzat Hayom, part of the day. So how you treated it is in a late afternoon or early evening. It changed the status or not? So the Maharsha brought from the She'iltot, he said, let's think about Bar Mitzvah. There is a certain date that the boy become Bar Mitzvah. So how you structure it? When exactly you call him Bar Mitzvah? When is the, and can you compare that to the law of vows, the Nedarim? Anyway, it tried to say that is a total difference. But here you go another expressions that limited time. For example, someone used the term of drinking wine. He takes a vow of wine and he said, Ada Pesach, I prohibited myself to drink wine until Pesach. So, what does that mean, Ada Pesach? Asur ad sheyagia, which means he is prohibited until the time of Pesach arrive, which means whenever the first day of Pesach began, he allowed to drink. Why? Because again, we go by the rules, halech achar leshon bnei adam. You go the language that people are using, and since the manner of which people using a vow is that way, which is ad Pesach, so the first day of Pesach began, it's allowed, because people when use ad, it means until, not ad bichlal, that goes further. So ad sheyeheh, Asur ad sheyetze, which means if he said, I prohibited myself from drinking wine, so it means he forbidden to himself until Pesach ends. So he may have intended for the vow to apply as long as it's still Pesach, the Rosh said. So therefore you need to wait until the last day of Pesach. Now, if he said ad lifnei ha-Pesach, if he said until before Pesach, so here the Tosfot, the Mefaresh said ad pnei Pesach. So without the lamed. So ad pnei ha-Pesach, Rabbi Meir omer asur ad shiyagia Pesach. Rabbi Meir said that it is forbidden to him until Pesach arrive, because that's the language of safek, of quandary, of uncertainty, meaning he is prohibited until Pesach arrive. Now, ad pnei Pesach, the idea is people do not enter the domain of quandary. People like to have it structure. So therefore, when you use the term until before Pesach, it means until Pesach arrives. That's the view of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi disputed him. And Rabbi Yossi omer, asur ad sheyetze. No. You know what happened to people? People many times enter to a expression that it's ambiguous. And then they have uncertainty and it's a result of confusion. And that's the manner of most of people behave. So therefore, since behave in expression in such a way, and the people, it's a serious probability that people do that, so therefore we assume that he meant to say until the last day before the last moment of the last day of Pesach, and therefore he is forbidden to him until its end. So the rabbis have a discussion here. If someone said, I prohibited myself from drinking wine until Pesach, what does that mean? How far you go? You tell me does that apply to Chatzot, the middle of the day, as the middle of the day is the time that they start the Paschal offering, and this is the time that part of the ritual in the Paschal offering is the drinking of wine. So therefore he intends to say until that time, which is the middle of the day. Or you say that it's a Pesach Mamash, the holiday itself. So for example, you can use as a source the law of mourners. The law of mourners said that the moment you reach the middle of the day before Pesach, you're no longer mourning. Or if it's Pesach occurred on Shabbat, on Sunday, so Shabbat before Pesach, the prayer, for example, Vehi Noam, this is the prayer that we recite on Ma'ariv of regular Saturday night. You do not recite if the subsequent day is the eve of Pesach. So again, if someone prohibited himself from drinking wine and he expressed it until Pesach, what he meant by that? He meant by that until the festival itself arrive, or he meant by that until middle of the day before Pesach. It's a discussion. So now we go to the Mishnah, the Gemara, and the Gemara followed the several statements that we said in the Mishnah. The first one, Konam yain she'ani to'em. If someone said wine is forbidden to me, as I hold it as the same as offering, so you are not tasted today. So what does that mean? The Mishnah said he is prohibited until the nightfall, shet techshach. So Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, lichtechshach tzarich she'ela lachacham. Guess what? Even when the darkness falls, he cannot drink wine. Rather, he required to hear a chacham, a halachic authority, to dissolve his vow in order for him Even that if you talk about the halacha, he can do it when the sun set. But here, the Rosh explained this is a decree that he instituted later on. Or the Ritva said he said it for people who are uneducated. My ta'ama, what's the reason that they require him to go before the sage and seek for solution? Because when he said the term hayom, for sure he meant to say until the sunset. Amar Rav Yosef, gzeira hayom mishum yom hechad. The sages decree that if someone made a vow and used the term hayom, it means if you allow him to go ahead and, for example, drink wine from that moment, so therefore he is going to allow himself, when he said one day, from that moment, which means from that moment to the following day. The problem is that people are mix the two terms, which is yom echad, one day, or hayom, today. So he cannot drink wine me'et le'et, which is from 24 hours. So that when it's a language like that, it's ambiguous. So the Rama said in Yoredea Reish Hei 205 that the only way to get out of this is petach, to find a way that people will not enter to that domain of quandary. So that's the reason why the sages are more stringent. But the Prisha said that if he expressed charata, even he's just regretted, that's enough. So let's just elaborate a little bit to make sure we understand. When it's come to a matter of vows, Nedarim, there is a process, the rabbi said it needs to take place, which is first you need to go before a sage, you need to express what happened, and you need to express your remorse, your regret over that. And then the next step is, that's called charata, that you regretted. The next step is you come and you basically said, the sages ask you, if you know that so and so happened as a result of your vow, did you ever make this type of vow? And if a person said, if I knew that that's the result, I'll never make that vow. So then sometimes they find a way, it's called petach, some door, some entrance, some way that a person can get out of that vow. So again, if someone said this expression, which is konam yain shani toem, so therefore you go by saying that since it's the idea of hayom, it can mix with yom echad, so you go by at this point to a problem of people release themselves when it's the sunset. So therefore, Yom Echad in general is 24 hours. So you have to go and say that it's the vow expires as soon as it's nightfall. So Abaye respond to him. Page 60b. Amar Leia, Abaye respond to Rav Yosef, Yacha ligzor beyom echad mishum hayom. If you have this concern, and you tell me that if you use the term hayom, meaning today, that the Neder continue to observe the full me'et le'et, the full 24 hours. So therefore, you should make the decree that one stipulates that the Neder remained in effect one day. So you have to go on and say that amount of time it goes to this day, and it's stop in the middle of the day. So in short, people mix the two. Amar lei hayom beyom echad michelaf, yom echad be'ayom lo michlaf. If someone said today, it may confuse with one day. But if a person uses a clear statement of one day, you will not confuse with the idea of today. So one day automatically lapse after 24 hours. So people are not aware that the manner of vow to abstain today remain in effect at least until the nightfall. So the Rosh elaborated and said, think how people behave. If people said in the middle of the day, I prohibited myself today from drinking wine. So we understand that the minimum a person going to observe is from that point to the night, that night. אמר אבינה אמר למרימר, אחי אמר אבוך משמך, דרב יוסף, כמן אז לשמעתה, דרב יומי אבר אבא, כרבי נתן. That's something that we studied yesterday. רבי נתן said, תניא, רבי נתן אומר, כל הנודר כאילו בנה במה, והמקיימו כאילו מקטיר עליה. We explained yesterday that the person who made a vow, so we discourage people from making a statement and making vow. So if someone made a vow, it's like one say built a bama. So we explain at bama it was a prohibition against building altar, private altar, that it's not in the place of the Beit HaMikdash. So if someone built an altar outside of the tabernacle or outside of the temple, so he is in violation. So the Torah said, "Lo tosifu," you should not add. You have plenty of mitzvot, plenty of rules. You don't need to add more than you have. So therefore, if someone committed this type of a vow, it's the same as building a private altar. So meaning, if someone fulfill it and not using a sage to annul it, it's like he continue on and burn portions meant for the altar in the temple upon it, which means it's increasing his sin. So it's like completion of the transgression. So since he did inappropriate vow, so the sages impose upon him to go before a expert sage and annul it. So there is a discussion among the rabbis, if a person commit himself to fast one day, what does that mean? Is that mean from that moment, if it was the middle of the day, or to the sunset, or it means me'et le'et for 24 hours? What exactly the manner of which people are using? So then the Mishnah said, if someone said the expression konam yain shani to'em shabbat zo, if someone said, I accept a neder, forbidden wine for this week, asur bechol ha-shabbat kula, he is forbidden during the whole current week, including the upcoming Shabbat, which is accounted the last day of the week. So the Gemara said, if that's the case, it's pshita, it is obvious. Why it's obvious? Because think about it, that the following week, following Shabbat, is part of that because it's the last day of the week. The Torah said in Shmot, chapter 20, in Aseret HaDibrot, Sheshet Yamim Ta'avod, 6 days you walk, Ve'asita Chol Melachtecha, you should do all your work, Ve'yom HaShvi'i, and the 7th day, Shabbat, LaHashem Elokecha, it's a 7th day. So why the Mishnah needs to tell us that it's obvious? Ma'u detema Yomei de Shabbat HaKamar. You may think that he said that his vow apply only on the weekday and not Shabbat, because the Mukhe Yosef said Shabbat is a holiday and he is not intent to incorporate the holiday of Shabbat with the rest of the week. Kamash Melan, so therefore the Mishnah wants to tell us that he intend to say also Shabbat. So it means For example, the Gemara said in Arvei Psachim. So the Gemara said there that if someone couldn't make Havdalah on the Saturday night, so he can go on and do Havdalah until Tuesday. Right? Ve'ad bichlal, including Tuesday. Or someone who divorced, what?
That's my short Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So they say the law of the Gerushin, so if it need to take place, it's go by the week, so is that mean until Tuesday? So why is not here? So there's a discussion. Anyway, Kamash Melan, the Mishnah come and teach us that the week it's include Shabbat. Then the Mishnah said, Konam yain shani to'em chodesh ze. If said konam upon myself vows that prohibited wine this month, so he is forbidden asur bechol hachodesh. He is forbidden to drink all day of the remaining of the current month. Ve'rosh chodesh le'aba. But the upcoming Rosh Chodesh is account with the following month, which means it's not fall under this prohibition. So the Gemara said, Pshita, it's obvious, ki itzricha lechodesh chaser. So the reason for that, it's for the, if you have a deficient month, what does that mean? So the Rambam and others say that the structure of the month, it's we have a month that there are 30 days. We have a month that 29 days. So the Ein Yaakov, the Ralbach, he said that, for example, if you have Lamed Nisan, the 30 day of the month of Nisan, it's considering Rosh Chodesh Iyar. It's the beginning of the following month of Iyar. Mahu de Teima. You may think that the first day, Rosh Chodesh Leshe'avar Havei, you treat it as the previous month, Velitzar, and it's incorporating that prohibition that the vow were made. Kamash Melan. So therefore the Mishnah come to teach us, no, you treat it as Lehaba, as the following month. Karu inshei reish yarcha. People call the Rosh Chodesh the beginning of the month, and you go by the language that the people express, the language of people. So if someone, said Lamed Nisan, if the 30 day of the month of Nisan, so if a person said during the month of Nisan, for this month, so how you treated the Lamed? So basically, according to this, Lamed Nisan is already the Aleph Iyar, is the first day of the following month. That's the reason some rabbis hold that we try to avoid giving get on Rosh Chodesh, because it's the same issue of shtarot. If you have a documentation and you write the Hebrew day of the month, so if you have Lamed Nisan, it may be a shtar mezuyaf, a fake document. Why? Because again, we follow this rule that you treated the 30 day of the month of Nisan as the first day of the month of Iyar. Konam yain shani to'em shana zo asur bechol hashana kula. If a person's vowed to prohibit wine this year, so he is forbidden to drink all the current year until the start of upcoming Rosh Hashanah. So now, since we're speaking about the language of limitation, you limited the time. Amar konam yain shani to'em yom. So if someone said wine is konam for me, and for that reason I'll not taste it for a day. Mai. How you treat it? Dinei kehayom or keyom echad. That's continuation of the previous discussion. Do you treat it as today, so it's like in effect today, or like affected Yom Echad? Yom Echad, as we said, Me'et Le'et, you remember Me'et Le'et? Is the full 24 hours. So the Ran elaborates and he said, if you go by his intent of that day, it may means by the biblical terms until Lechshet Techshach, until the sunset. Or you treat it as Yom Echad. Yom Echad meaning from this moment you count full 24 hours. Tashma mimatnitin, come and see a proof from what we studied in the Mishnah. Konam yain shani to'em hayom. If someone said, Konam, wine that I taste today, ein asur ela ad shetechshach, which means his prohibition until the sunset. Hayom keyom echad dame. So if he said a day, it means you treat it, it's like comparable to a case where he said one day, and the vow is in effect for 24 hours. So the Gemara rejected that and said, Eima Seifa. Go with the letter clause of the Mishnah. Amar Yom Echad, Asur miyom liyom. If a person make a vow from that day to the following day, so it means he prohibited from that moment for 24 hours. Hayom kehayom dame. If he said day, it means until the sunset. Ela meha leika lemashma mina. So therefore, the vow he learned from this Mishnah. You cannot bring a proof. Amar Rav Ashi Tashma. Come and learn from the following Mishnah, page 63. Konam yain shani to'em hashana. If someone said wine is konam for me, and I will not taste it this year, v'nitabra shana, those years, you go by the idea of a leap year. It was determined by the emissary that come before the Bet Din, and they determined it. So the Bet Din adds another additional month of Adar, and now it's a leap year. So asur ba uve'ibura. So the way that we treated the year is basically the year is 354 days, and that's basically the year that we treated less than that's the difference between the lunar year and the other, that it's treated 11 days less. So since it's all depend upon the biblical commandment in the book of Dvarim, chapter 16, they said, Shamor et chodesh ha'aviv ve'asita Pesach. We are commanded to celebrate the festival of Passover during the springtime. So sometimes the Bet Din needs to add another month in order to make sure that Pesach not occur during the winter time. So therefore, if someone said, Konam, I vow that wine shall be Konam upon me, and he said, regards to my tasting for a year, so if the year turned to be a leap year, so therefore he is forbidden to drink wine during the remainder of the year and during the extension, which is another month. So the Gemara asks, Hey Chedami, what exactly the circumstances that the Mishnah applies here? 61. Ilema kidekatane If you tell me that that's go by the way that it said, the simple way, lama li lemeimra, it's obvious that it's the year including the leap one, the month that was the second Adar. אלא לאו דאמר שנה, עלמא שנה כהשנה דמי, ויום נמי כהיום דיני, which means that shana, meaning hashana, it's not 1 year, it means solely 12 months. That's the year that we are using, the language of people. And if you go that direction, so therefore you say that one day you treat it the same way, which is hayom, which means hayom, it's only until the sunset. The Gemara rejected that and said, "Lo, we can interpret in the Mishnah as they said that the Neder affected for a year. Le'olam de'amar hashana. Umau detema Yomei said halech achar rov hashanim velo itbeu ibur." If you go by the majority of the month, so the Rambam explained that in a circle of 19 years, you have 7 leap years. So most of the years do not have the extra month, which means you don't have the second month of Adar. So if you use this term of Hashana, so it's basically go by the 12 months, and therefore his prohibition will extend up to the month of Av, Kamash Melan. So it's come and teach us that this phrase, this year, means that the vow should last until the end of the year, and therefore even in the leap year is prohibited. So this applies with someone who makes the vow at the beginning of the year. Why? Because the Rambam explained he doesn't know in advance that the year is going to be a leap year. He doesn't meant he meant to say 12 months. But if you go by the Rambam, which soon we're going to read in the Ran, so he said that we go lechumra, we go stringent, and therefore Yom you treat it as Yom Echad, and it's prohibited me'et le'ed at 24 hours. So the Magen Avraham, based on this discussion, ask a question. Let's say if it's Pesach, the last day of Pesach, the last day of Yom Tov, right? Or in Eretz Yisrael, the Shvi shel Pesach, right? So a person sits in a meal in the late afternoon, and now it's already sunset, he's in the middle of the meal. Can he eat chametz or not? It's the middle of the meal. Do you tell me that this is over since the sunset? Or you said that since he started the meal during the festival of Pesach, the meal extended further, because you remember when we discussed Ya'aleh V'Yavo, we discussed certain things, you said that on Shabbat it extended. In order to deeply understand, you go by the Yom Kippur. What's the halacha? If in Yom Kippur someone did not complete his prayer, and all of a sudden he feels weak, and he wants to drink something, and the sun is already set, so he can say Baruch HaMavdil, right? And he can go ahead and drink, even he did not complete his prayer. So can you say that this is a proof to our discussion? That in our discussion here in this sugya, we said that if someone prohibited himself for 1 week from drinking wine, so how you treat it? The same as Seudah Shlishit, the third meal on Shabbat. The Shabbat is over as far as time is concerned, and someone prohibited himself, for example, for certain things like drinking wine, etc. So you tell me that this is already the following day, or it's not the following day. So that's a big discussion, Magen Avraham. I would like to read several halachot, because today we have a lot of halachot that we find practicality. So let me read to you some halachot from the Rambam. The Rambam said if one vows that the wine is forbidden to him today, so he is forbidden from consuming wine until the nightfall. That's the Rambam in Talmud Nedarim, chapter 10. He said that if one vows that the wine is forbidden to him this week, so he's forbidden to consuming wine for all the days of the week, of that week, and including Shabbat. But he may drink wine on Sunday. When it's come to a month, he forbidden himself for a month. So they said he cannot drink wine the entire month, but he can do it at the Rosh Chodesh of the following month. The same applied to other Shanazot, etc. If someone vows that a particular item is forbidden to him until Pesach, is forbidden to him only until Pesach arrive. But if he vows that the particular item is forbidden to him until before Pesach, is forbidden to him until the beginning of Pesach. But many times, if one vows that a particular item is forbidden to him today, then although the vow expires at nightfall, he may partake of the item that night only after his vow is dissolved. You need to go before a halachic authority, some rabbi that's familiar, and it's basically a rabbinic decree due to the concern that on another occasion he might take a vow using an expression one day and might mistakenly think that he is permitted to eat after nightfall. So again, since we go by the language of people and the mind of people are different, so therefore you have to go by the general structure of people. For example, if one takes a vow and stated that it's applied for this month, so the vow expires before the following new moon, even if the upcoming new moon is celebrated for 2 days. So this is because people consider the first day of the new moon to be the beginning of the upcoming month, even though it actually completes the previous one. So if someone said it, for example, wine I will not taste, and he said it for a day. So wine is konam for me, and for that reason I'll not taste it for a day. So since it's uncertain, so it's forbidden for him to emet let for 24 hours. So however, if he tasted after the nightfall of that day, we let it go, not get malkot, because as we said, we try to go by the structure of the majority of the people, how people using certain expressions. That's what we learn always in Nedarim. You can't say that this individual is different. You go by general structure of language and expression in the vernacular that people are using every single day.
Malachai Shuloim, Malachai